YouTube, how the heck you doing? This is Corey here with Watcher Realms. We're back with another one. This is obviously VOD review. We have a new war that we are going against for the Gladiator Gauntlet. It's looking pretty good overall. We have a decent amount of attacks that are used. They have used a decent amount of their attacks as well, but it looks like we're comfortably in the lead. So this is top 64. So after this, we go to the top 32. So it's a pretty smooth run so far. I can't complain. It's kind of nice. Anyways, we have some things to go ahead and cover here. So let's go to the personal record. We did go ahead and do another 4-0, which, I mean, if I didn't do 4-0, I'd probably get dropped. So anyways, let's go ahead and get straight to it. So this is obviously going to be a esoteric team. They are choosing to go ahead and use Nerissa, which is a really good unit. Her main thing is, though, you kind of want her like A3 to go ahead and get some of those really good benefits of giving that, I believe it's the inspiration to 2 other units, and then also her A5, which is also really good. But overall, we are looking at a decent amount of anti-synergy as well with this team. We have the Boreas, we have the Anora, which is typical for the esoteric faction. It's just, we're also looking at a Brokira here, right? So there's a lot of damage overall that's being left on the table. You'd really want something like a Ymrit here to go ahead and deal some actual damage, but because they're not choosing to go ahead and do that, it's kind of like a weird team composition almost. So we go ahead, we drop the Frostful first. The whole purpose of this really is just to go ahead and bait out the Anora ult, and then also if we're able to push just close enough here, we should go ahead and also force Boreas' ult, but I don't think we necessarily are able to do that from the jump. So we drop the Maw second, right? And the whole purpose of Maw is to go ahead and kind of claim this second tile here once we get here, and we'll go ahead and trigger the Boreas ult. The Frostful is also here to go ahead and give us some sustain because Anora does do a decent amount of damage, at least something to be considered. And so once this is down, we go ahead, we force Boreas' ult. So all of this is looking really good. We drop the double healer now. Also, something very funny happens right about now. He should go ahead and do the Impale. Look how much HP he has. It's like the smallest of a sliver of HP, which prevents him from just going ahead and getting auto-killed. A little bit unlucky there, but we still have enough tankage here from the Fool and then also the double healers to go ahead and keep our Maw relatively decently sustained. At this point, Maw does his AoE hit, and then Anora is down. At this point, we're really good because Boreas is not going to do enough damage on his own to go ahead and deal with the Maw. And then secondly, right, there's no damage dealer here, so we can relatively swarm this pretty easily, especially if we're going to be able to go ahead and take out the Cyrus here, which we go ahead and successfully do, right? So we have the Necro Skeletons here. They're going to start pushing through, and Boreas is going to ult, but once again, Maw does his AoE hit, takes out the Boreas, and we are comfortably going to go ahead and win this now because we have all these units here. The Necros are going to keep spawning up, and we have the dogs that we're able to just drop through, and this is a pretty simple run from there on out. This team kind of just lacked damage. Now, the next set of things to go ahead and do is look at the second team that we went ahead and attacked. I think it was a Nightmare comp, but let me just go ahead and open it up and just double check here. So this was a pretty easy win. And then the next team is YouTube. How the heck you doing? Right now, SmileOne is going ahead and offering some really good top-up rewards if you go ahead and choose to get W Gold through their website. The deal is going from June 12th to June 22nd, and I do have a link in the description below. Now, if you're trying to go ahead and get some W Gold, you will get some really good things like rare summoning crystals, auto battles, stamina, and at some of the high-end things, you're even getting some divine summoning crystals, you're getting diamonds, you're getting skill crystals, and you are getting some W gold back at some of those higher tiers as well. So if you're interested in stacking up as many resources as you can for the upcoming anniversary, or if you're just stacking up just for your own personal need in case you get to 30 stamina and you want to go get the Eloin pack, go ahead, right? Use the link in the description below. This one right here. Yep, it is a Nightmare team. So this team is a little bit interesting in where they chose to go ahead and position their units. I'm not necessarily why they chose this positioning overall. What you'll see is they put Wukong towards the bottom corridor, and then they kind of build their team sideways, right? So this is a little bit interesting. There's a couple of reasons as to why this is interesting placement to say the least, right? So Carnelian is first targeting the Arrogance. She's not even targeting the Torador. So one potential thing that could have happened is just absolutely nuking out the Torador. But, you know, don't choose to go ahead and do that. I choose to go ahead and just basically bait out the Wukong ult and then do the standard swarm, which was really common in the actual season for Season 7, which the whole purpose is you go ahead and drop the Fool, proc the ultimate from Wukong, drop double tank with the Fool, drop some healers, drop your Necros, goodbye, right? Super simple swarm attempt, which we are able to successfully kind of go ahead and build here. This Wukong is A5, we can see, because he basically one-shots the tank right there. And we're pretty comfortable from here on out because we have our healer, we have our double tanks. So the Fool is going to go ahead and basically be infinitely HP'd, and he's going to give us some shields on our tank. And then the next step, right, is to go ahead and drop the double Necros any second now. And we tank the Wukong ult relatively easily, thankfully. And then we go ahead and drop the double Necros. At this point, what's going to happen is one tank does die, but the Fool over here is still alive, right? Mainly because of the healer. And we have all these units starting to stack up here. So whenever Wukong goes ahead and ults next, he is actually going to go ahead and target the skeletons right about now based off the connection. He ults, skeleton. He doesn't hit the tank. And from there on, it's a pretty simple win because we just start overloading the map and putting pressure on all these units here. And if you notice, these healers are kind of starting to push through here. So we can drop the dogs and GG. Pretty simple overall swarm attempt. This was just the main way to go ahead and beat these Arrogance teams. You could even use this a little bit for the Yimmer teams, but it's a little bit trickier if you're going to go ahead and do it that way. But Arrogance, swarm, really simple strategy overall. It worked every single time for the actual Season 7. So at that point, there's not really much to go over. And then we have this other team, which is the Beatrix team. Now, Beatrix is a little bit of an interesting unit because she kind of functions like how Lady Alexandra does, in which she has the ability to cross map you, but she is AoE magic damage dealer. So we go ahead and we just bait this, right? She goes ahead and drops those two. I can't even remember what they're called. Dream Eaters, right? And they go ahead and attack her healer, which is fine, because what's going to happen is our healer is going to hit Malvira, gets pulled, and then he's going to start healing right about now. And because we have our double flyers here, they're also going to start getting the heals from our healer whenever he goes ahead and actually does it. Be kind of nice. There we go. The healer starts to proc. Now what happens is the flyers are getting all these additional pieces of sustain. So where they're going to start hitting the Magda here, and then they're going to start swapping over targets to hit the Lily. Ideally, they would have hit the Beatrix, but they choose to go ahead and be a little bit rogue, and they just hit the Lily, which is fine. That means there's no sustain remaining. So we have our double Shadow Keepers here to really just kind of clean up the rest of the map here. So the Shadow Keepers alongside the healer are going to knock out Malvira. Even though she has her revive mechanic, it doesn't really matter. We have all these damage dealers just stacked on top, and there we go. She's down. This point is really simple. We have the Necros spawning up. There's no way for Beatrix to deal with all the skeletons that will spawn up, even whenever her Dream Eaters explode. It's just not enough damage overall. And we also have the abilities to drop the dogs as well. So it's one of those weird situations where it's kind of like a BP check in some ways. If the Morgan did enough damage, yeah, our flyers would die. If the Beatrix did enough damage, our flyers would die. But realistically, if you had an A3 Beatrix, that's when you'd have a little bit more of a chance because she has the chance to spawn those additional Dream Eaters, and she scales up with her passive as well, with the 2%. But because it's not A3, I imagine it's pretty easy to just go and take out. Now this is a chaotic team. I love chaotic teams just because I now have a full chaotic team minus Ardea and Carnelian, which it sucks because I really want those two units more than dang near anything else. But this is another example of interesting positioning. So just kind of two things, right? With Valdron being placed here, with getting Lily heals, it is the most anti-synergy that you could possibly imagine, because that means he's never going to be below 50% HP, which means he's going to rarely do his AoE hit, which means that it's really easy to go ahead and swarm him, which we go ahead and do. Even though they have an Honora here, Honora is not factioned, so that means she's also lacking in damage overall. and then they have a Sargak, right? So this team is interesting to say the least, because also, if you really wanted to, I could have gone ahead and done a Tank Swarm and then dropped the Chaotic Shaman, which would go ahead and pair with the Necros, buffing the skeletons, which would then go ahead and proc Valdron passive 3 times, which means he would hit like a wet noodle, which makes it even easier to go ahead and win this attack. But because of all these different levels of anti-synergy, which really just come from Valdron specifically in this team, it's just an easy win, right? There's not really much to go over with this. It's just a very simple swarm. Stack the tanks, drop the healer. After that, drop the double Necros right about now. There we go. And this is an easy win. Honestly speaking, I'm just going to kind of let this run out because I don't even think I needed to drop the dogs. I'm pretty sure what happens is the Necros just start pushing through here on their own. The healer is giving full sustain. Anora is doing absolutely nothing. Valdron's not able to do anything because look, right? Let's just kind of focus in. He ults. He has not done a single annihilating hit. Not one. Not one. Look at this. Look at how useless he is. He's still there. His first one. His first one. Absolutely useless. At this point, our Necros are already starting to push through here. They're eating Anora's root. They're still just passing through here. We dropped the dogs just for good measure. But look, right? Everything's already starting to push through. This is looking like a Taylor Swift concert. Just everyone's just running through here. So at that point, GG. Easy. But yeah, that really just comes down to Valdron anti-synergy. I'm not going to go ahead and expand too much on it. Just don't use Valdron if you're going to use an actual healer. It just doesn't work. See ya.